Hello, welcome to First 11, your YouTube channel for the latest football news, previews of matches, and post-match analysis. On the channel with me today is Kenny. Today we will be discussing the UEFA Champions League matches coming up next week between Arsenal and PSG, and also between Barcelona versus Inter Milan. Today we'll start firstly with Arsenal, the match between Arsenal and PSG. Arsenal will be playing at home at the Emirates with PSG. Yesterday, Arsenal played against Crystal Palace. They drew 2-2 against Crystal Palace. Then over the weekend, they won their game against Ipswich Town 4-0. On Tuesday, they will be taking on PSG in the semi-final of the FIFA Champions League. Do they stand a chance against PSG that have been firing on all cylinders? Now, this is the third English team that they are meeting consecutively. Yes, third English team that they are meeting in the UEFA Champions League. And don't forget that PSG, they had played Arsenal previously in the group stage of this same UEFA Champions League, and they were beaten by Arsenal 2-0. So a lot have happened between that group stage and now. We've seen that Luis Enrique has done a lot of tweaking within the team. So the team, they have improved a lot. So the team that Arsenal played in the group stage of the UEFA Champions League is different from the team that they will be taking on in the semi-final of this UEFA Champions League. So what's your take on the match coming up on Tuesday?
Okay, so firstly, we saw Arsenal defeating Paris Saint-Germain in the group stage of the competition. So psychologically, Arsenal, they have that edge of having taken them out in beating them in the group stage. So meeting them in the semi-final is just going to be they are just going to try to stample their authority on Paris Saint-Germain. And don't forget, all the defeats of Paris Saint-Germain in this season's competition have largely come against English clubs, even though they were able to knock out Liverpool and Aston Villa. They suffered home defeat to Liverpool, and then they lost at the Villa Park to Aston Villa. So Arsenal, like they showed in the quarterfinal, they have what it takes to take on the giants of European football, and PSG is not going to be an exception. They did defeat Real Madrid 5-1 on aggregate in the quarterfinal. So PSG are not going to be much of a threat to them. And even with the loss of Thomas Partey in these semi-finals due to suspension, I think Arsenal they have the personnel to do the job, and I see them advancing to the final at the expense of Paris Saint-Germain.
You think that the absence of Thomas Partey will not have an effect on the Arsenal team? Because we also what Thomas Partey did against Real Madrid.
Yeah. I think Thomas Partey did a very good job against Madrid. He nullified most of the threats that were coming through the middle in those two games, alongside Declan Rice. But Arsenal, they have Odegaard, they have Mikel Merino. They have the men that can equally do a good job against Paris Saint-Germain.
But my fear with the Arsenal team currently is that they don't have a point man. It's just that anybody can score. They don't have a point man.
Well, they have shown that they can get the goals irrespective of having a point man or not. They've scored goals all season. They've scored goals all season. They scored 5 in the quarterfinals. They scored 2 yesterday against Crystal Palace. They scored 4 against Ipswich over the weekend. So goals are not a problem for Arsenal. They get goals from all parts of the pitch. So that's not going to be a problem on Tuesday.
Are you trying to downplay the capabilities of PSG? We also what they did against Aston Villa and Liverpool. We can see that PSG, they play more as a team, and their players, they are very young and skillful. You got Desire Doué, you got Dembele, you got Bakula, you got a Karashela. And we know that Karashela can change the game at any time.
Yeah. So, do you know Arteta has been trying to do this for 6 years now. He's been on this project for 6 years, and I think what we are seeing now is the crystallization of that project. Luis Enrique started this project just this season. After the exit of Mbappe and the rest of the Galacticos. So this is the first season of the project for for Luis Enrique. He's trying to do away with the big names and then wants to go with the lesser names and who are going to buy into his ideas. So I think PSG they may be able to get a step further in the next season's Champions League, but this season I think they've done a good job. They've been to the semi-final. I think this is the end of the road for Paris Saint-Germain.
So what's your prediction?
I think Arsenal is going to give them 2-1 in the first leg, and then they will do the job and back the Princes in the second leg. They are going to seal it up in the second leg.
Well, I would like to add, for me, I think if Arsenal want to qualify for this final of the UEFA Champions
Okay.
League, they will have to do the job at home. I know that their previous game against Paris Saint-Germain, they dominated the game and they won 2-0. But Paris Saint-Germain, they have a
Yes.
total different team right now. But with the scoreline, Arsenal will beat PSG
Oh,
2-1. That is my prediction.
okay. So
2-1.
we should talk about the second game, right?
Barcelona versus almighty Inter Milan. Last weekend, Barcelona defeated Celta Vigo 4-3. 4-3. They came
A
from
thriller.
three. Yeah, it was a thriller. It was a thriller. They came from 3-1 down to beat Celta Vigo 4-3. My fear
Yes.
with Barcelona is the rate at which they concede goals. They concede a lot
And they
of
score a
goals,
lot
and
of
they
goals.
have, yes, and they score a lot
And
of
they
goals.
score a
But that's,
lot.
and we all know that Inter Milan, they are very good when it comes to defense. Last night they played against AC Milan in the Coppa Italia, and they lost
Last
3-0.
night.
Yes, they were beaten by AC Milan 3-0. Then over the weekend, they were beaten by Bologna 1-0. So the current form of Inter Milan is a
Yeah,
suspect. Before now, I
I
had
agree with you.
predicted that Inter Milan, they will be going through to the final of the UEFA Champions League. But with their
I
recent
agree with you.
form, I believe that Barcelona will overcome them. I see Barcelona going through. I don't see Inter Milan overcoming the firepower of Barcelona, despite the fact that Barcelona, they have a very poor defense and they usually use a high line when they are playing. So those are the weaknesses of Barcelona. They use high line and their goalkeeper is a suspect. Their defense is not very strong. Barcelona, they're only strong in the midfield and they know how to hold the ball. They are strong in the midfield and in the attack. They got Lewandowski, Lamine Yamal.
Lamine
So
Yamal,
with those two up front, and they also
Rafinha,
have Rafinha. Rafinha is one of the highest goal
with
scorer in this
his
year's UEFA Champions League,
top
and I believe that he's going
yes,
to keep up with the momentum. So I think
yes.
Barcelona will go through against Inter Milan. But I know Inter Milan, they are not just going to keep their backs on the floor and watch Barcelona overcome them. But their current form is not
It's
impressive.
not. Despite their current form, they have the tightest defense in this season's Champions League. So the best defense coming up against the best attack in the Champions League is going to be an intense battle. Between these two giants of the European game. So, but overall, I think Barcelona, just like you said, they have extra firepower. They have that edge, and I think they are going to prevail over the Italian giants, Inter Milan.
I see Barcelona beating Inter Milan with so much ease in the first leg. Then I think the battle line will now be drawn at San Siro. In the first leg, Barcelona will overcome Inter Milan. That is very clear for me because the current form of
I
Inter
agree.
Milan is not giving. Yeah, their current form is not on point. After losing
Yes,
yesterday's game, I felt very disappointed because they were trashed by AC Milan, and this is
this
this is AC Milan team that has not been in a very good form. AC Milan, they are
at
currently
all.
on the ninth position in the Italian Serie A. And this season, AC Milan, they've been very poor. No one expected AC Milan to overcome Inter Milan
Inter Milan.
last night. It's
And
just a pity that
interestingly, this is
Inter Milan couldn't produce the result against AC Milan.
yeah, interestingly, that was the fifth meeting between the two in this season, and for the fifth time, Inter were not able to get a result against AC Milan. So I think AC Milan just showed their recent domination over Inter Milan. But that may not that may not be one of the reasons why they are going to lose against Barcelona. They are going to lose to Barcelona because Barcelona have that extra firepower in attack. The form of Lewandowski, like Yamal, Dani Olmo from the bench, even Ferran Torres, as well as Rafinha, top scorer in this season's Champions League. So overall, Barcelona is just it will prove too much for Inter. I think this is the end of the road for Inter, just like Paris Saint-Germain, like we predicted.
Okay, I think this is maybe the end of the road for Inter Milan.
For the first
And
game.
yes, Inter Milan, before yesterday, they were gunning for their trebles, but now they've lost one. And currently in the Italian Serie A, they are on the same points,
Yeah,
73 points with Napoli. And it appears that they
it's
are
Napoli.
losing their grip. They are losing their stronghold on the title race against Napoli.
It
You
has
want to
been
say
a tough
something?
battle with Napoli all season.
All seasons
All season,
long.
it has been a
It has been a
tough,
very
tough
tough
battle.
battle with Napoli. So I see Barcelona defeating Inter Milan by 3 goals to 1. That is my
Yes.
prediction. Barcelona defeating Inter Milan by three
But
goals
it's
to
going to
one.
be a tricky one. I think I'll go with you. I'll go with you. That's a more likely outcome.
So
I'll
most
go
so
with you
most
3-1
yes, so most
as
likely
well.
in favor of Barcelona. I think that Arsenal may likely be playing Barcelona in the final of the UEFA Champions League. That is my prediction. Arsenal against Barcelona in the
Arsenal,
final of the UEFA Champions League.
yes. A repeat of 2020, 2000 and
Yeah,
2006
2006. In that 2006 game, Arsenal stood no chance against Barcelona because Barcelona they were
Barcelona
firing on all cylinders.
with
They were fire
Eto,
and they had the team
Ronaldinho,
Eto, Ronaldinho, or they had all the players
Eric
then. All right. Today we have come to the end of the analysis and predictions for the UEFA Champions League semi-final coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday. On Tuesday is Arsenal against PSG, and on Wednesday we have Barcelona against Inter Milan. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share all our videos. Thank you for watching and see you on our next video.